Congressman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez addressing Democratic voters furious over President Trump and Elon Musk's efforts to slash Social Security and other government programs. AOC and Senator Bernie Sanders making the first stops on their Fighting Oligarchy tour, where crowds cheered their calls to fight back the chaos created by Trump's executive orders and sweeping federal cuts. Joining me now is California Congressman Robert Garcia. Welcome back to the show. It's always good to see you, Congressman. So Senator Sanders said 34,000 people turned out in Denver Friday, calling it the largest of the hundreds of rallies that he's done. These rallies and the spirited town halls hosted by Democratic lawmakers across the U.S., they're harnessing something of a fighting spirit Democratic voters want to see more of. So is this the way to turn anger into action and mobilize voters in the battle against Trump and his agenda?
Absolutely. Look, first, I was a supporter and fan of Alex's, of AOC's, before I got to Congress, and even more so now. I think what she is doing right now, what Bernie Sanders is doing right now, is exactly what we need to be doing across the country. Their message about taking on billionaires who are not focused on lowering costs, who are not focused on making housing more affordable, is and should be the Democratic message. We have to be in this fight and fighting hard. And Democrats are already around the country. We're hosting town halls. We've got town halls here back home in my district. We're going into Republican districts. So this is a time for us to be on the offense and to fight and match the energy that people have on the ground who are angry at Donald Trump and at Elon Musk, essentially trying to take away all of their earned benefits and services across the country.
And then Trump signed the executive order this week to shut down the Department of Education, saying it's a waste of taxpayer money. He wants most aspects of the department turned over to states to improve student outcomes, even though states already pay for about 90% of K through 12 education, and they oversee curriculum. And then he, of course, offered no details on how education will be improved by his actions. What are the consequences for public education, and is this a fight Democrats can take on?
Well, first, let me just start by, I was a longtime teacher and educator before I got to Congress. I did about 10 years in the classroom. This is, in my opinion, might be the most horrific thing that Donald Trump and Elon Musk have actually done. What people don't understand is that the Department of Education is the single largest supporter for families and who have children with disabilities in America's classrooms. These are largely federally funded programs. These are not generally fully funded by states. And so to eliminate the Department of Education and for Trump to say, well, we're just going to send the money to the states, one, is a flat out lie. And two, especially red states in conservative areas, they're going to send those resources to private schools that don't actually provide any classroom experience or support or inclusion programs for children with disabilities. And so this is an attack, yes, on families, on students, on teachers, but it is a horrifically shameful moment that the president wants to hurt children with distinct needs, that they need also education to be included in our education system. They're the biggest losers in this. And I think we should all be protesting in the streets about this and be incredibly angry and letting Republicans know that they have enabled this kind of action against America's families.
Listen, let's drill down a little further, because Trump announced that the department's most vital operations, including administering federal student loans and programs, to your point, serving low-income students and those with disabilities, they will move to other federal agencies. So here's some of what he said about it yesterday.
I do want to say that I've decided that the SBA, the Small Business Administration, headed by Kelly Loeffler, is a terrific person, will handle all of the student loan portfolio. We have a portfolio that's very large, lots of loans, tens of thousands of loans, pretty complicated deal. And that's coming out of the Department of Education immediately, and it's going to be headed up by Kelly Loeffler at SBA, and they're all set for it.
Point of edification here, the Education Department manages student loans for about 43 million borrowers, not tens of thousands, as the president said. So school nutrition and programs for special needs students, that's going to fall now under Robert F. Kennedy Jr. at the Department of Health and Human Services. Do you, Congressman, have any concerns about disruption or efficiency for any of these issues?
Well, first, the president is an idiot. He has no idea what he's talking about when it comes to what the Department of Education actually does and the support that it provides students former students who are on loans, who are trying to repay back what the government was able to support them in their education. He has no idea the impact to, again, families with disabilities. The idea that Robert F. Kennedy is going to actually be in charge of health and wellness and food service for America's children in our schools is crazy. This man is a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist who doesn't even believe in vaccinations. We're seeing what happens with measles right now in places like Texas and across the country. And so, look, as a teacher, I join educators and teachers across this country in being outraged and infuriated about what's happening, especially with the Department of Education, as Republicans sit by and do absolutely nothing. And that's what's shameful.
Let me get your response to the president calling for the impeachment of U.S. District Court Judge, Chief Judge, that is, James Brosberg, amid the standoff between the administration and the court after the government did not comply with Brosberg's order to halt deportation flights of alleged Venezuelan gang members to El Salvador. Now, Brosberg has been skeptical over the administration's use of the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to deport immigrants. Last night, Trump claimed that he didn't sign the proclamation. His signature is at the bottom of it in the Federal Register, and the White House clarified that, yeah, he signed it. What are your thoughts on all this?
I mean, the man doesn't even know what he's doing, clearly, has no idea what he's signing. And I think what's more important here is the attack on our institutions, especially our legal system. We have three branches of government. We know what this country is about. It's about checks and balances, the executive branch, the presidency, the Congress, and of course, the judicial branch. He obviously could care less about the Congress, and Republicans in Congress have essentially abdicated all their power to Donald Trump. And now he wants to attack the independent judiciary, including, by the way, judges that Republicans and he himself have appointed. So this is incredibly dangerous. So we know that this is right out of the playbook of authoritarians, people that are trying to consolidate as much power. And now all of his cronies in the White House, and now his enablers in Congress are trying to impeach judges, which is insane. This is not something, and even, as you know, John Roberts had to come out and speak, our Chief Justice, out against this. And so we should be very, very concerned about these actions. And I unfortunately expect these kind of actions to continue out of Donald Trump.
Okay, Congressman Robert Garcia, it's always good to welcome you on the show. Thanks so much.